Hi, welcome to part 3 of our ongoing series through the Acts of the Apostles. Amazing Acts, and they are amazing, and we've seen the outworking of the power of the Holy Spirit in the lives of the early believers, the first Christians, those who followed in Jesus' footsteps after he was ascended up into heaven. And in the second part of chapter 2, we see Peter before the crowd, explaining to the crowd the power of the Spirit and what it all signifies, what it all means. In verse 24 in Acts 2:24, Peter declares that the Lord is always before me and I will not be shaken. You might be going through a really difficult, trying time at the moment, but if you just reach out to Jesus and accept his free offer of mercy and grace and forgiveness, and he will be with you. That is a truism, and we can trust in God today. And the reason we can trust in God is that these are not just empty words. By Jesus' death on the cross for us, we can have power from the Lord to live lives for him. And that power is the Holy Spirit. We've introduced that, and I want to talk a little bit more about how the Holy Spirit works and the power of the Holy Spirit, because it gives us hope and it gives us confidence to walk with him. In Peter's exaltation, he continues in verse 28 in Acts 2. He says, "For you make me glad in your presence." That's what we need. That's what the Holy Spirit gives. He gives us the presence of the Lord so we can worship him in spirit and truth. Verse 32, Peter says, it talks about Jesus being raised up and that we're all witnesses of that fact. Jesus was born in the lineage of David's house. David was the father. If you go back, he was the patriarch, one of the early church fathers. And Jesus was born in the lineage of that. And so therefore there are witnesses to every generation that preceded Jesus. And ultimately in Jesus coming to us as the Son of God, we can testify. I can testify to the fact that Jesus has raised me to new life. And that's the power of the Holy Spirit. Jesus has raised me to new life because of what he did on the cross for me and for you. Really, really powerful. And the Holy Spirit reinforces that testimony because we have the Bible. The Bible gives us words to live by. It gives us truth to live by. But the Holy Spirit is the glue. The Holy Spirit is the glue that brings it all together and makes it happen in the life of the believer. And one of the things we can look for if we have the Holy Spirit living in us are the fruits of the Spirit, such as joy and peace. You know, we are struggling in this world with so many distractions and so many things which seek to deter us from following Jesus. So let's just lay aside them all today and let us, as the disciples did, as the early church did. Later in verse 42 in Acts 2, we read that there was a devotion to the way. The way was a New Testament description of the early church, the early Christians. And the way of following Jesus was in teaching, obeying his teaching, in seeking fellowship, in the breaking of bread, which is sharing in communion that you might be familiar with, and through prayer. So in all these things we can seek God, but ultimately we need the Holy Spirit. We need the Holy Spirit today. God bless. Thanks for listening. And don't forget to like and subscribe to this channel for more of these videos. Thank you. Bye-bye.